inspiration for Giselle came from Clara Fexi, a fabulous Italian ballerina who passed away May 27, 2021, sadly. I believed that was a call from destiny. Whether to perform Giselle or Nutcracker, I was struggling between the two performances. However, in the end, Giselle was my choice. With attention to my previous experiences of organizing a performance with the amateur adult students, I considered all possibilities. The when, the where, and the who. With consideration to the limited budget, our own studio was chosen for the performance. All choreography had to adhere to the size of the studio, including how dancers entered and exited the stage during the performance in front of the camera. Recreating the show was also very important. Therefore, I immediately replaced the original countryside village scene with the current location to give it a modern feel. In order to make the show more personal, after all, drama does happen in real lives. Bold moves were made to rehearse my casts like a professional dance company. I was determined to not do the same as the rest of organizations, in that they performed a show by simply replicating videos online. The preparation took 6 months, with 2 casts for 2 different versions of each of the performance. I believed a great work requires a lot of sacrifice and dedication, so I only wanted to work and perform with dancers who shared the same ideal as I did. Talent didn't matter. However, hard work was essential. I strongly emphasized the students to never give up on your dream. I'm here to help you make it come true. I started with a whiteboard, a laptop, and a steering passion. My ideal dance partner was one of the first who heard the plan from me, and he was most excited to be a part of it. I put all plans and thoughts of the 6 months into a rehearsal schedule, and then made an official announcement to everyone. Naturally, many people were very interested and eager to be a part of it. I also thought documenting the whole journey would be worth doing. So therefore, I used my phone to film almost every rehearsal since June. In the end, I made several documentaries about how the work was done in many different ways. The show could have ended up very differently if I didn't have a group of loyal students who were equally passionate about our Giselle project. Again, learning from previous experience, I wished to charge less payments from our beloved students as well. Therefore, I started rehearsing by teaching the steps in our regular classes, such that everyone can learn first. It was very difficult for me in the beginning, since none of them, including my assistant teacher who performed the Queen, knew anything. Giselle, a well-known ballet, which many have probably watched several times, however, I felt very different while performing it. I even wrote a script with all dialogues for all performers to help them understand and remember the storyline and the meaning of their movements and acting. This wasn't the first time I was being the performing artist by writing, directing, and starring in the show. Let's say the work and responsibilities were massive. While my dance partner was working hard to make sure he secured the visa to settle down in China, we also ran into an extremely difficult summer due to the COVID and typhoon. making it dangerous for people to go out and walk on the street. In addition, metros were shut down and schools are closed. Yet in our studio, the rehearsal never stopped for a single day, even if we only had 2 students for the rehearsal. However, that's what's required to keep the work going. If you don't do it, no one will carry it on for you. Entering August, situation was getting more positive at last. My dance partner settled down by opening his own dance studio. The storms finally subsided. New COVID cases declined substantially, and the casts became clearer. I started posting announcements on international social media platforms and asked a foreign friend to help finish interviews about me, my production, and our wonderful students. Many foreign friends who were dancers, teachers, choreographers, and directors were following our journey all the way by seeing the weekly pictures and videos of our rehearsals for months, and looking forward to watch the final show. Shortly before the Chinese national holiday, the rehearsal and regular classes finally become separate since most of step were taught. During the first run-through near the end of September, cast dancers got to see the broad outline of what I expect at last. They started to understand the massive work I was doing and the great difficulties involved in the production. I was relieved that I gave my best efforts with the students and myself since the pas de deux rehearsals beginning October. The whole storyline of the second act very much rely on the pas de deux, especially how those 2 lead dancers perform. There were a lot of informations for our first rehearsal, which were critical to finish the whole acting and dancing. After setting up the schedule and the contract, we immediately focused on the rehearsal, and we determined how to work on the steps, music, and acting between the 2 characters. Run-through rehearsals started in November, and we got most of our dancers in the studio to keep rehearsing the whole show in order to make sure everyone remembered their steps, the storyline, and their positions. Unfortunately, my dance partner couldn't schedule himself on the live stream performance day, so the whole show had to be recorded on 2 different days and then added afterward. The casts and some of the choreographs had to change for this adjustment and needed to be managed as soon as possible. The most important thing was to practice to make sure the steps were better once the students memorized their steps. The routine for every rehearsal was similar to a professional dance company. To be the lead dancer and a director at the same time doing each run-through rehearsal, keep the documentary going, ensuring followers still received weekly pictures and videos on all different social media platforms was a monumental achievement. Both November and December were a very rough time for me, because while the recording days came closer, uncertainties and problems were still occurring. One of the biggest concerns was the cast dancers weren't ready for the recording. Since near the end of the year, adult students were increasingly becoming busy at work and kept missing the rehearsals. On December 13 and 18, the recording days finally arrived. However, there were a lot of unknowns on set. As the lead dancer, I must complete my performance professionally. Also, as a director, I had to manage the dancers and camera crew simultaneously. The work of editing was another massive, difficult endeavor, since the videos had to be ready in a week for Christmas Eve, and the editor was from another city. Every evening, we had a video chat for editing until dawn. Because I was the only person with a clear vision about how I wanted the picture and the music in those videos. The full version of Giselle was almost an hour long, and we were busy with editing work until it was completed a couple of hours before the online premiere. The great success was a wonderful repayment to all of us. No matter in or out of China, whomever saw the performances were generous in their praise, while the dancers were enjoying all sorts of extravagant feedback. However, no one was more emotional than I was. Even countless deliberation and words cannot describe such emotion. The day before our recording, I filmed a video to tell people how I felt that night. In that video, I said, after 2 years of waiting and expecting, 6 months of preparation, days and nights. At this moment, I feel like despite everything I had done, there's always imperfections that I want to fix. But since tonight is the last night, there isn't any time to fix. Just like the night before a big competition. I'm looking at my brand new costume, which was purchased 10 days ago. It was so white and beautiful, like a wedding gown. Perhaps that's what marriages feel like. Looking back to see the months of journey to creating Giselle, I have outperformed myself to make it happen and to be good at dancing, teaching, rehearsing, directing, editing, and managing to continue the studio business. However, it's much more than that. I managed to be the key person to hold the teams together, amateur or professional, to face and solve the uncertainties and unknown risks countless times, and never thought to give up or take the easier road. I didn't give up on my original plan and dream, and through this uneasy journey, I know myself better, fuller, and have discovered what I am capable of doing. This journey, most importantly, gave me clarity on what I want to be in the future.